This is the NX. This is it.
Oh,
We are finally
I didn't
this
know that
is
at all.
oh yeah,
That's
this
why
is
I
it.
was so confused because I was like, wait, we already have this NX thing coming out,
Right.
and now there's this Switch. Where the heck did that came from? But that makes so much more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, I
This
was.
this is the official Nintendo NX, which ban that from your
Yeah,
vocabulary now. Now it is the Nintendo
we've been
Switch.
calling it the NX for so long.
So let's start with that. Let's start with the name. What do you think of the name
The Switch.
Nintendo Switch?
I think it's cool. I think it. I think it comes of what it's supposed to do well. When I hear it, the name, it sounds like okay, you switch the way you play it. A
Exactly.
lot.
And even though the Wii was a runaway success, that name,
Mm.
my goodness. The Wii U probably would have done better had it had a different name.
Yeah.
But the Wii doesn't actually, it doesn't like people. Reggie, who's the president of Nintendo of America, Reggie Fils-Aimé. I remember at E3, I think it was E3 2005 when they revealed the Wii, and it was codenamed the Revolution, similar to how the NX is the code name for Switch. Revolution was the code name for the Wii. And then when they announced the Wii, like they went into this whole stupid corporate speak about how like, oh, Wii, it's encompassing. It's not just, we want to bring other people in who haven't been playing video games, and that's why we named it Wii
But
because
it's not spelled the same.
well, and also the word doesn't even exist in the Japanese language.
Yeah, that's.
Like culturally, it doesn't make sense. It
At least
just
it's easy to remember and easy to say.
oh, it sounds fun. Yeah, it sounds stupid. And how many jokes were made about that about its name? I mean, come on. But yeah, Wii was not a good name. This is a good name. It's simple. It's still, a single syllable.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. It gets the idea across, and people can hear like, why are they calling it the Switch? So many different reasons, right? So, what can this thing do? Well, it's like we thought it was. We thought this was going to be a hybrid home console slash portable system that you can take with you. Not like, remote play where it's like, or with
Not like
the
the
Wii U
little
controller, where it's streaming, but it can only stream so far distance to the Wii U gamepad and play it away from the Wii U console. This is the console. It's like built into this tablet. It basically just looks like a tablet.
Yeah, and you can kind of make it one too by sliding off like the little control.
So the tablet has this dock. I assume the dock is connected to the TV via HDMI. And there's an interesting theory about the dock that I actually talked about with one of the people I work with today. And I've also heard it YouTuber. But the dock obviously has an HDMI. It slides in, and this is what is going to send the game to your TV.
Wait, what's the theory?
Oh, we'll get into it now. hold your horses. Keep. So the first thing you see in this reveal trailer that Nintendo unleashed. By the way, did you watch the reveal? Okay, good. So you see this guy playing with a controller, and by the way,
He's playing that Zelda game, isn't he?
wild,
Yeah, and it
and
looks cool.
and he's a dude in his 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
We're not seeing families. We're not seeing little kids. No, it's just I think Nintendo finally gets it like, oh, there are people in their 20s and 30s that play games. And in fact, if you look at the demographics, there's more adults playing games now than there are kids.
The
So
generations are growing up.
yeah, exactly. And that's what happens. And the thing is these adults still like to play the kiddie Nintendo games. They still like to go back and play Mario, play Zelda, all these, classic games that, every single game is good. Some are better than others, but they're all good, and that's what we like to play. We're not all a bunch of Grand Theft Auto players out there. So yeah, this guy, he's playing on an odd, bulky-ish kind of looking controller. His dog comes up to him, wants to go out for a walk. So what does he do? He kind of disassembles the two different halves, and sits on. It's like the controller has a dock itself, that full controller when fully assembled. So he takes it off and puts either half of the controller on either side of this tablet that then slides out of the dock. Now he's playing Zelda on a handheld unit.
I mean, it's a pretty big unit, but it's still.
But well, I mean, if you're gonna have a screen that size, and I'm
it is
gonna
a good size screen.
I think it's either gonna be 6 or 7 inch screen, but we'll have to wait. It's probably the Wii U gamepad is it's probably gonna be the same thing as that, but you're not gonna have the huge outline of the gamepad. It's gonna be a lot more portable than that thing, but not too portable, which is kind of weird. Like this thing's not a clamshell design like a DS. You can't
You can't put it in your pocket.
You're not going to want to put it in your pocket. You can have a case for it, stick it in your backpack. It's going to be a lot more portable than it's a hybrid. It's a compromise.
It's not a Wii. It's not a Wii U. You can take,
but at the same time, it's not a 3DS. So he takes it outside. We see some other instances of people like on an airplane.
There was one that made me laugh because it's like this lady. This lady who's in like her apartment complex. She's playing it by herself, and then she just looks out the window and she sees her friends like on a rooftop, and they're just like, "Come over here!" And she brings it there, and they're all just like gathered around it. Like that would not happen.
Yeah,
people would just leave their console. Like you're going to like a party, you're not gonna take your video game.
Yeah, honestly, if they wanted to do something super realistic, it would be more like, okay, the guy needs to go drop a deuce in the toilet, and
that's very accurate.
And he doesn't want to, and he wants to have something to do. And the Wii U, I mean, I've tried it; it won't reach to my bathroom. The range is not that good, but if you could just pick up the console and bring it with you, and it has a screen, you can just keep playing.
Yeah, but a lot of the scenarios just were really just didn't seem probable. But that's not the point.
Yeah, so some of the scenarios, the dog walking thing, that might
watch
happen.
Where you're going.
Yeah, that too. Also, what if you're holding it and the dog tugs on the leash, and then all of a sudden the thing goes flying.
I mean, you're holding it with two hands, but you have the dog and whatever.
Yeah, we see someone take it. Okay, and so you can. It's a modular setup, so it's changeable. You could take parts of the controller and put them on either side, and it becomes a lot like a 3DS or a Wii U gamepad. That's portable.
But you can also use the one half of it as one controller.
Yes. The next scene we see playing
in the airport,
playing Skyrim on an airplane.
Yeah, and he has both of them separate,
and it's got a kickstand on it, which is cool. I feel like everything. I wonder
if you could watch stuff on it, like a Wii, like how Wii has Netflix.
I think they will keep streaming services like Netflix on there. I don't someone said today oh, that'd be really cool if you could store movies and music and stuff on there. No, it's not.
It's not
unless it gets hacked. No, that's not going to happen.
For that. That's a bit much.
So yeah, I think streaming definitely, but it's not going to have 4G, so you're going to have to have to connect it to Wi-Fi or something. But that's not the point of it. The point is to play games. So this dude's playing Skyrim, and he's got a kickstand and has it on the tray table in front of him, and he actually has the controller parts undocked from it, and it looks like he's just sitting back and playing wirelessly.
It reminded me of a
nunchuck.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it reminded me of too. So those have charge to them, and I think in the beginning of this trailer, the little controller dock that was connected in, I'm betting that has a battery pack in it, and that then charges those two pieces while you're using it.
Yeah.
So, and I like that idea. Realistically, will anyone ever want to go back to nunchuck and Wiimote setup?
See, I don't think so. And also, realistically, they had this scenario where the dudes were playing soccer or whatever, and then they stopped afterwards.
Basketball.
Yeah, basketball. And then
they stopped their real basketball game
to play video games.
To play a video game of a basketball game.
But I don't see people actually gathering around and like two people playing it together because like that just seems like such a pain playing on that tiny little thing with a few buttons.
And I think the best example that they showed of that was two guys. This thing sliding, the screen sliding into like a car adapter. Yeah.
On such a tiny screen, like two people.
Well, I could see it working in a car.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you've got, and the thing is, like, you know, obviously in the basketball demo that we saw, you know, they had two NXs set up together, so it will be like a handheld where you can each have your own screen, or you could do a split screen like they were doing with Mario Kart during that part. But on the Mario Kart demo, each one had of the controller, and I didn't notice this until I think I watched the trailer a second time. So the controller, even though they're two different halves and it looks like they're two different pieces, they're actually exactly the same. Just one, yeah, but one is
flipped.
Yeah, you have a joystick up here,
on the top and a joystick
and then
on the bottom.
and then four buttons that are like your directional buttons. Then you have a joystick down here, and then you have your face buttons. But if you switch them around, then you have a controller. You have a joystick and four buttons.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
It's
pretty much the same.
It's
thing.
ingenious, however, and this is not the final product either. By the way, let's make that clear. You know, this thing is still in development. It's not going to come out until March. Maybe they'll find a way more substantial, but the guys are holding it like this, and it's very tiny.
They were holding it like long ways.
Well, when they were playing the Mario Kart part of the demo, they were holding it horizontally so that they had the joystick and then the four buttons.
See,
but they were literally holding it like this. You're not going to be able to play like that for a very extended amount of time.
And like so many games, like I don't understand like some new games like with such a tiny controller with such few amount of buttons. How are you able to even play games like that would require a lot more controls? That's why I think I don't know if they're going to do this or not. Older games for that system would be a really good idea because that would be really handy for playing with the tiny controllers, you know? Like older games that have a lot less buttons that are necessary to play it with. I think that would be a good idea, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the Wii and the Wii U don't support every single controller option for every single game. I think some games will probably require, you know, the full controller setup, and then other games like Mario Kart.
You think you'll be able to hook up?
Well, we're gonna. That's part of my idea, or the idea with the dock. But yeah, I do have a thought with that. Actually, yeah, now's a good time as any. Also, real quick, they also have a full looking controller as well.
It looks so. Is it modeled more after like a PS2 kind of thing? Because it didn't look like the old Wii U one.
No, it looks like it actually looks closest to like an Xbox 360 where you have the staggered joysticks. Yeah. Looks a lot more comfortable than the Pro controller for the Wii U. I don't like that thing.
Wait, isn't that the one modeled after the GameCube?
Not really. It's like the Wii Classic controller, except instead of having the joysticks down here, they have the joysticks up here, and they basically just swap where the directional buttons, the action buttons, and the joysticks are located. So they've moved the directional buttons down and the face buttons down, and so it's
it is fat. I used it once.
Yeah, it's not the best controller out there by far. But this one that they have that does not disassemble or anything like that, it looks like just a regular controller rumble battery pack, and it'll probably be one of the better ones that they've come out with. Now, on to the theory with the dock, and you asked about you think we'll be able to use like, you know, Wii accessories on it. Imagine, because this ties in with, you know, is this system going to be backwards compatible at all? Here's my thoughts on that. You're definitely going to have a version of the Virtual Console on there, and the Wii U Virtual Console has a lot of systems to choose from, but not every system to choose from. It's really weird. So The Wii U currently supports NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, and Wii games. No GameCube games. Huh? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, GameCube.
If you can run Wii games, you're perfectly emulating GameCube games, too. That's weird. There's Game Boy Advance games and DS games, no Game Boy games. And maybe they're just making it so that you can download Game Boy games on a 3DS. Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So there will be Virtual Console on this thing. It's probably going to have like 32 gigs of memory, maybe an SD card slot. I mean, they've given SD card slots on the Wii and the Wii U, so I wouldn't expect on the NX. And you're going to need it if you're going to be downloading larger games. It uses a cartridge similar to what a DS and a 3DS uses. Like the cards, at one point you see a guy, pushing a game card in along the top. So, and that may make people nervous, but we're in a day and age where we have these micro SD cards can hold more than a Blu-ray disc. So don't be concerned with the fact that they're on a cartridge. They're going to be just fine. In fact, I believe we covered something a little while ago about there's some company in China that actually manufactures like 32 gig cards that are the size of a 3DS cartridge. So yeah, don't worry about space limitations. We're to the point where optical media does not have that advantage anymore. Now, will this be backwards compatible? Well, if it's not a disk-based system, the short answer is no. But what if that dock that it slides into, what if on the back of it there's like a door that pops out? All of a sudden you have an optical drive where you can put in your Wii U games.
You mean like a disk drive?
Yeah.
You think that's... What makes you think that that's what it has?
Well, it could. I'm just saying, Nintendo have done the last two console generations, both the Wii and the Wii U have been backwards compatible with the previous system. That being said, I think there's going to be a lot of games ported over from the Wii U to this system. I mean, in this trailer alone, we've known that Breath of the Wild was going to be coming to the Switch. But it also showed Splatoon running on it, which is a Wii U game.
Oh yeah, with like the professional gamers.
E-games, or esports.
Yeah.
So you have that possibility. If they are doing that, they may not just make a bunch of ports. But then again, the Wii had ports of Pikmin 1 and 2, but you could also play the GameCube version, but just with the GameCube controller. So I think they could go that route. I think they could make this dock basically be able to play Wii U games. Even maybe go back as far as Wii games. And the nice thing about the Wii controllers is they're all wireless. You don't have to put hardware ports where they have to plug into, like with a GameCube controller. You just have them wirelessly connect to this thing. So that's a possibility. It might actually be compatible with Wii games. In fact, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about this console right now.
Oh, so okay, hold on. I just gotta do this real quick.
Yeah.
That's just a theory. Game theory.
It's a little bit of an inside joke. I can't stand MatPat's voice on Game Theory.
Nothing against the guy.
Nothing against the guy, just his voice. And he knows his voice is annoying, but he still does it. So I just don't watch his videos on YouTube. Nathan loves the guy, though, so it doesn't bother him at all. Gosh. Anyway, before we get hit with a copyright claim from MatPat,
right,
who probably doesn't even know we exist.
No.
So there's that theory about it. Theory. You throw me off completely. Let's talk. So, and throughout the entire reveal, we don't see any kids playing with this.
That's true. I didn't realize that.
I don't think this is going to be a device for kids.
Because the guy was playing, what was the game? On the airplane?
Skyrim. Skyrim. I mean, the girl was playing Mario.
Yeah.
But it's an adult. It's not a kid playing Mario. And I think that's important because let's face it, this is not going to be the same price as a 3DS. You know, it's not going to be within the $100 to $200 range. If I see a kid, like some kid, you know, under the age of 10, walking around a grocery store with this thing in his hand and like running around and like kids do with their DSs, I think I will probably scream out loud. And we'll get into pricing here in a second, but I don't think this is going to be a good device for kids unless you're just going to have them play it inside the house.
Yeah.
Like you could take it out of the dock, but only take it into your room, and you can just as parents, like, don't be surprised if this thing, it is a tablet. Kids break tablets all the time.
Just get your kid a Wii. They're a lot cheaper and they'll have more fun.
Yeah, get them a Wii U, or just keep the 3DS around. Because I don't think they're going to stop supporting 3DS for a while now. Now, the Wii U, I think, is pretty much done when this thing comes out. Which,
poor guy. Good
or bad, whatever. You know, it was a failure of a system. So, pricing. Where do you think this would... And we haven't been told a price yet, by the way. We don't have a launch date. We have a launch month for March 2017. How much do you think will it launch for, and how much do you think should it?
I don't know exactly for should, but I'm gonna guess around like 400. Do you think that's too low, or
400? So you think that it will or it should?
I think. Ooh, gosh, I don't really know exactly how much it's worth. So I don't know that I can say how much it should be, but 400, 450 seems something like that. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of expertise on this.
I think it won't. I think it'll be a failure if it launches for that much.
You think that's too much?
I think that's way too much.
I think 350, 400 probably.
I would say 300 to 350.
You think that's reasonable?
I think so, simply because, okay, this is going to be using the NVIDIA Tegra chip, a customized version, but an NVIDIA Tegra chip. You can currently get an NVIDIA Shield tablet that uses the K1 processor and I think they're using the next generation, the K2, but they're customizing it. It may be more power efficient. And by the way, if this is going to be a portable system and it's going to be if it's going to be able to, we still don't know how good the graphics can look. That Mario game looked really good. Like
the 3D World, wasn't that what it was?
It wasn't 3D World because it was just Mario, and it looked like he was running around the city that looked a lot like Delfino Island from Sunshine to me. I don't think that's necessarily what it is, but it looked good. It almost looked like it could have been running an Unreal Engine 4 for all we know. So that means it's got to be, at least Xbox One level of graphics. And stated like it's going to be like, base model PlayStation 4, and they'll be able to port a lot of PlayStation 4 games over. And a lot of people are even saying that the Skyrim footage that we saw is from this upcoming remastered definitive edition for Skyrim. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what we can do. It's obviously somewhere between the Wii U and the PS4, as far as
price range.
I was going to say processing power, but it's also a portable system. Portable systems typically, the 3DS launched at $250, but it didn't sell well. $180 pretty quickly, and now it's like, I want to say around $150 or $160.
The 2DS?
For the new 3DS XL. If you get that, it's around $160. Maybe even $200 still. But here's why I think you can't really go much higher than $300, $350. Right now, you can buy an Xbox One S with a 4K Blu-ray player, 500 gig, $300. You could buy a PlayStation 4 base model, 500 gig hard drive, $300. Unless you already have one of those systems, like let's say you don't have a new system, but you want to get a new system within the next year, would you buy a potentially slightly more capable system for less money? Or would you buy Nintendo because it's Nintendo? I think we're to the point where people will just buy what makes the most sense to buy. There's a lot of gamers out there that don't care about portable gaming. They don't care about handheld gaming. And a lot of them are actually like Nintendo. They're either Nintendo gamers, Sony, or Microsoft gamers. They cover the gamut. Has, in the past put exclusive handheld games on their handheld systems. But people, even then, that's not enough of a draw for some console gamers to actually pick up handhelds. Me, I love handhelds, but I realize not everyone does. So I see that as a bit of a problem. Just because, for $400, why? Because it's portable? I don't care about it being portable. I just want a home console. And there's a lot of people like, okay, even the little, like the Mario Kart thing where they're using the little controllers, you have to use it that way. Mm-hmm. That's just an option for you. It's like when the PSP came out, people made fun of the fact that of the UMD movies, the movies you can get on disc for the PSP, but they were super expensive. I may or may not have some of those. The thing is like they were still like 20 only played on the PSP, and that kind of stunk. Like I always thought that they should have done like combo with like you see today, with you get a Blu-ray, a DVD, and maybe like one other disc, or like a digital copy disc. They should have done that with DVDs. Here's the DVD copy. Also, if you spend $5 more or $3 more, you get the UMD version of it as well. And I think that would have done better. But people were actually saying the PSP is stupid because it plays movies. That just because something has a feature that you don't like, but everything else is okay, doesn't make it stupid. Like, just don't use that feature if you don't like it. It's like the Wii U gamepad. You don't have to use it. Mm-hmm. Some games require it, but a lot of them don't. So,
I mean, just as long as the price isn't like super outrageous just for that one,
right? It's fine. But the fact is that since it's a handheld feature, it's using probably pretty state of the art portable technology that could jack the price up. I honestly think if they sell this thing for $400, you can forget it. $300 seems to be like this magic number that people, in people's minds, it's not too expensive. It's also not too cheap. There's this kind of new dynamic. If something is too cheap, people feel like it doesn't have enough value. So they won't buy it if it's too cheap.
It makes sense.
Like, look at the NES Classic. For $60, the price of one modern game, you're getting something that plays 30 classic games. That works. That price model works for what you're getting. It's not a huge value, but it's a good value. Worth the money. If you sell this thing for $100, people are going to think, well, it can't be that good if they're only asking for $200, $250. So I think $300 is like the perfect price point for this. $350 I think they could do, but $400 people won't even consider. Also, I wanted to talk about how they can make this successful, and I want to talk about old Nintendo systems launching and why they were successful or why they weren't successful. So the original NES, I was born the year that it came out, so I can't really tell you off first-hand knowledge why that was successful. I think it was successful due to the video game crash of 1983. Have you heard of it? Well, there was a lot of Atari games being released that were low quality, and people just stopped buying video games, and the market crashed just for video games, though. Nintendo comes along in 1985, and they packaged the NES with Rob, and they're like, well, it's not really it's more of a toy, because they had this robot that came with it. So they kind of very stealthily entered into this new video game market, and then when that exploded, because I think it had been a couple years and people were ready to play video games again, play something new that wasn't Atari, Nintendo filled that void. So that's why Nintendo took off. Super Nintendo comes out. We have arcades are becoming more and more popular in the early 90s. Sega Genesis had just come out. Super Nintendo comes out to compete with it. And it was just a prettier, nicer sounding version of Nintendo, and all the games were better on Super Nintendo. Nintendo 64 comes out. At this point, CD technology has been proven. Does Nintendo go with CDs? No. The reason is so they stick with cartridges, and while cartridges do give you the benefit of not really having loading times, the size limitations really made it hard to make games for that system, especially for the third.
Wait, what size limitations? For the cartridge?
Oh, yeah. You couldn't... Cartridges, like a CD, could hold, 700 megabytes. A cartridge, an Nintendo 64 cartridge, I want to say only held at maximum 64 megs.
But wouldn't using a CD drive, take up more space on the system?
No.
Than for what a cartridge would take?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I mean, you're talking about home consoles, so...
Yeah.
It was a direct competitor to the Sega Saturn and the Sony PlayStation. So it was really the only system still using cartridges. And the cartridges were actually very expensive.
Wait, which system?
The Nintendo 64. Okay. So even though that system had great games on it, it still didn't win that generation. So then we have the GameCube. Good step in the right...
That's a disc, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like a little...
It was their first optical disc system, but the discs were tiny. They were this proprietary disc that couldn't hold as much as a DVD could. DVDs could hold I want to say 14 gigs. These things could hold a little over 1 gig. Again, size limitations. That irritated third-party developers. Then the Wii comes along. It's got the motion controls. It's really excited about the motion controls, so it sells really good at first for Wii Sports.
It has full discs.
Full discs, but they are still proprietary discs.
What do you mean?
You can't pop a Wii game into your computer and have it be read. Its own type of disc. It's a game. They just call it a game disc. And it's not a high definition system, but it's popular for a few years. I want to say the first 3 years.
What year was that it came out? I can't tell you. Maybe even a few years later, at school and stuff. I just hear all these kids I got a Wii for Christmas, bro.
Yeah.
And everyone's just Wii's everywhere. And I was I have nothing, so that's cool.
That was a big deal.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Then the Wii U comes out, an HD system. They didn't even show you the system when they announced it. They just held up the gamepad. They're like, "Hey, it's a Wii U," and people who weren't in the know at the time were like, what? Even some journalists, they were like, "So is it a new system? Is it just a history to the Wii?" Because Ubisoft made a drawing tablet that looked a lot like the gamepad that was for the Wii. So yeah, I kind of feel so just judging on the history, a lot of people were hoping that what the Switch was going to be was a more traditional game console in line with what the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are now.
But also different in a way. Right.
And some people have said it looks a little bit gimmicky, but not quite as gimmicky as the Wii and the Wii U.
Yeah.
I think if they're not going to make another... If this is going to be the 3DS replacement and the Wii U replacement, I think it fits. I think it works. I don't give it to your kids. I don't want to see them running around with this in the supermarket.
But the question is, are you going to buy one?
I currently don't have plans to buy one. I also said I was going to buy a Wii U, and I currently have a Wii U. So make your own predictions and judgments. I don't know. I might get one eventually, but
I think you're going to be wanting that Zelda Breath of the Wild game.
But that's also coming out on Wii U.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, and that's the system I plan on getting it for. But it's supposed to look better on the Switch. So, yeah. But yeah, when it's all said and done, I think this is a really clever thing. I think they have to be really careful with the price point that they hit. And since the games are going to be on, I think that's gonna have a lot of draw for people because the cartridges are a lot. They can take a lot more damage, or they're a lot more durable than discs are. So a lot of people like that idea. The portability, since I've always been, that looks really cool to me. And now we finally have a system where it's not a huge, like the DS and the 3DS. There's currently no way to play those games on your large screen officially unless you're using the Wii U emulating Nintendo DS games, but no 3DS. So I think it can be successful. There's a lot of buzz going on for it right now. Again, we don't know exactly when it's coming out or what the price point will be. I'm sure Nintendo will tell us that in the next time. Thank you, Nintendo, that they are finally actually talking about this. And it's not just some rumored thing that we have next to no information on.